Joining us now from Washington to talk about that and more, Democratic Congressman Ted Lieu, the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman, welcome back to The Issue Is.
Thank you, Alex.
What do you make of what the president said right there? Are you glad that he didn't strike Iran?
I agree with the president that potentially killing 150 people in Iran would not have been a proportionate response. The broader question is, what is the administration's strategy? And right now, the American people in Congress have no idea. We have different administration officials saying different things. We have John Bolton talking about regime change. Secretary Pompeo talks about 12 demands. Much of it is non-nuclear. And then Donald Trump himself says, no, he just wants a stronger nuclear deal. So we need clarity from this administration.
Well, what should be the administration's goals when it comes to Iran?
In the short term, they need to de-escalate. I am pleased that ultimately Donald Trump did not decide to strike Iran. I think in the future he should get casualty estimates first before he even orders a strike in the first place and then rescinds it. That is not a good look for him or for the United States. It makes us seem indecisive. But I do agree with the president that that would not have been a proportional strike.
Do you feel comfortable that we're sort of out of the woods when it comes to some sort of conflict with Iran?
That's a great question. I know a good answer to that. A lot depends not just on what the Trump administration does, but also on what Iran does. And my hope is that Iran no longer takes any of these actions of going after oil tankers or shooting down drones. I think we need to go back to diplomacy, get both sides to the table, and see if we get a stronger nuclear deal.
Another big story in Washington that you were at the center of this week involves Hope Hicks. She was the former White House communications director. She now, full disclosure, is an executive at Fox News, which owns this show. She testified before your committee this week and apparently didn't say a whole lot. She heard many objections from her attorneys. Take us inside the room. What was that like, and what did you ask her?
Sure. Hope Hicks was in this interview with a lot of attorneys who are objecting on her behalf. We asked over 150 relevant, important questions about potential obstruction of justice and other potential bad acts. We got back 155 objections. And so we're taking this to the courts. We're going to win in the courts because these objections have no basis. The Trump administration attorneys are saying it's absolute immunity. That's not a thing. No courts have ever recognized that claim. So we're going to win in court, and then Hope Hicks is going to come back in a public hearing, and all that really happened is that she jacked up her attorney's fees.
I mean, what are you trying to achieve with all of this? Because, the Trump administration says we've sort of asked and answered. We went through the Mueller report. Let's move on.
Right. So the Mueller report, if you read it, it basically shows two things. There was some collusion. There was insufficient evidence to charge a criminal conspiracy, and there was lots of obstruction of justice. So we want to ask Hope Hicks about the obstruction of justice elements. She was a witness to many of those acts. We couldn't get any answers because of these made-up objections, so we're going to have to call her back after we win in court.
You support the idea of an impeachment inquiry opening up, not necessarily impeachment itself, but the idea of an inquiry into impeachment. But not everybody in the Democratic caucus, including the Speaker of the House, supports that so far, and neither does Congresswoman Judy Chu, who I interviewed this week. Here's why she says it's not time for an impeachment inquiry.
If I'm hearing you right, you say that he's committed impeachable crimes. It's just not time to do impeachment.
If it were up to me, I would say that we should begin it, but let's be realistic. If we go to the Senate level and that vote is not successful, which it looks like it would not be, then President Trump would say, I've succeeded and I've been exonerated.
Is she right? Essentially, going through impeachment just hands a political win to President Trump?
Right. So I think it depends on whether people view this more like the Clinton case or the Nixon case. If you view it more like the Clinton case, you're not going to support an impeachment inquiry. If you think this is more like Nixon, then you would. And what happened during Nixon is you also had many members of Congress who didn't want to do impeachment. But then over a series of hearings, public opinion shifted, congressional views shifted, and then you had the House Judiciary Committee, in fact, start articles of impeachment.
And last but not least, we like to play some games on this show, Congressman. So we've got a game called Either Or. And this is the big, important question for you. Because usually you play Pat Benatar. We know that's your go-to when it comes to songs on this show.
Right.
But we got to maybe modernize it up a little bit. So here's the either or. Do you pick for your music today the new song from Katy Perry or the new song from Taylor Swift?
Katy Perry.
Katy Perry. Why is that?
I like her songs better in general.
And, of course, she campaigned for Hillary Clinton pretty aggressively back in 2016 as well. All right, there
that
we
has
go.
nothing to do with it.
But, Katy Perry and Taylor Swift are now back together again. So if Katy Perry and Taylor Swift can come back together again, maybe the U.S. and Iran will be back together again sometime soon.
Maybe, although my music appreciation stopped in the 1980s.
Okay. So you're not going to dance to us for us to this song, apparently. All right, well, Congressman Ted Lieu, thanks so much for joining us this week on The Issue Is, and enjoy this Katy Perry song as we rock out. Up next.